Look, memory can change the shape of a room, it can change the color of a car. And memories can be distorted. They're just an interpretation, they're not a record. And they're irrelevant if you have the facts.
Someone wants me. Someone roaming the streets wants me.
Your car's uglier than I am. That didn't come out right.
Using his vast knowledge of history and politics, we start our day off right with motivational speaker Richard Battle.
Oh, motivational speaker as always. Mr. Battle, how are you doing today, sir?
Good morning, Al. Thank you so much for having us with you, batting lead off again.
Well, I find this interesting today, Mr. Battle, because you always use that line about getting the bat lead off, and you sound like a sports guy. I get the guys on the bench come out on a regular, the hard-headed sports guys come on. I got the NBA guy. I got a baseball guy. All of a sudden, Mr. Battle wants to sneak in on their territory. I love today's topic. You went all sports on me.
Well, it shows that there are many different ways to exhibit that AmeriCANS spirit, and there's always different ways for us to learn or to teach others about life and being successful and leadership. And with the start of basketball this week, especially college basketball, I thought it would be appropriate. Plus, tomorrow is James Naismith's birthday.
So all that, plus the fact you actually can find the entire story about James in the Americans Who Made America book, 19th Century Growth Division Reunification. Let me ask you this, though, because you're a history buff. This fits. I love the fact that we're talking about him today. Page 157, by the way, for following along. But how did you find this? When you're looking, like when you're working the 19th century up, is Naismith somebody you had already heard about? You kind of knew the story and you knew it would work in this. You stumble upon him. I guess we all heard how basketball started, but not in this sense, and how it makes things better. How did you know about Naismith, and how did you decide to put him in your book?
Well, that's a great question. So when I start these particular volumes, I have people I've know a little bit about, and so I'll have them on a preliminary list. And then as I start going through and researching, I look for angles and uniqueness about individuals' AmeriCANS spirit that can teach us and help us where we are today and help our children and grandchildren. And Naismith, I knew invented basketball, but I didn't know much about him to start with, and plus the story is much bigger than that, and that intrigued me as well. And it's uniquely American. Football started as kind of an offshoot of lacrosse and soccer and different type of games, but basketball is an American game.
One day, you and I will have to spend the entire day talking about the scraps on Richard Battle's cutting room floor. What I mean by that, I want to know all the people that, what do you get, 40 in a book? 41, 42, 43 out of all the books you've written that didn't make the cut, and we'll make that into one big book, because I think it'd be fascinating to see. And great people, I'm sure, but why they didn't make the cut, that'd be fascinating. But can we do that? Do you have a list of those that didn't make it?
You think having the college football playoff selection on TVs, it would be something.
Good point. Let's talk about, I'm just intrigued about who didn't make the book, because this is, all right, let's do. James Naismith, you mentioned his birthday is coming up tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, okay. Give us the story on him and how he actually invented the game.
Well, he was a PE teacher at a YMCA in Massachusetts. And in 1891, they were looking for some kind of exercise that they could do in Massachusetts indoors during the winter time. So that the people who were paying their pittance to belong to the YMCA could get a value for their membership, because they couldn't go outside and exercise like we in the South can most of the time. Yeah. And so he ended up coming up with this game. And as some people probably know, I mean, he had a ball and he put 2 peach bushel baskets and nailed them up on the ends of the pole, and started evolving this game, which has become so phenomenal and global in such a short period of time. It really did. Yeah.
Well, like you say, it fills that void when people are in the middle of winter trying to get by. They had something to do. What I found interesting from the book, there are only 13 rules of basketball at one time. You got the rule book of basketball now, and you're like, holy Hannah.
Well, that shows you how bureaucracies evolve. Bureaucracies and rule-making people evolve. What starts off very simple always gets more complicated, as we've seen here in the last few years with baseball rules, for example, and we definitely saw it with basketball. And those 13 rules are written down, and they are at the University of Kansas in Lawrence, because
Really?
James Naismith ended up being a basketball coach there later in his career.
Oh, very cool. And did I also read that this is how things change? Running what really wasn't the forefront of that game when it started. You weren't all supposed to be all running all over the place. It was really more preset plays, that sort of thing. Did I read that?
Well, yes, and I think that's kind of interesting that even though they wanted to exercise, they didn't want to really.
They don't
Nobody
sweat.
really visualized the exertion that we see today and the athleticism that we see today. And even when I was young and learning basketball and watching it and starting to play a little bit, you could remember the guards coming down the floor pretty slowly, deliberately, and the offense setting up, and the guard would hold his finger up in the air and call the play they were going to run.
Yeah, absolutely.
When's the last time you saw that?
Oh, no.
20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, well, just the idea that, like you mentioned, the peach crates, right, to put the ball in and that sort of thing. Well, you had to get a ladder down, right? You had to get a ladder down to get it out every time. Well, that's because they only scored a couple times, right? This is like a soccer score. It's like 2-1 or 3-2. Today's basketball, can you imagine? They're scoring 100 buckets. You'd have to stop and get down 100 times. They weren't good at basketball when they started. Look how they've come now.
Well, no, that's exactly correct. There's no fast breaks of somebody making a basket.
Yeah.
When I went to college my freshman year, the university basketball ladies team played half court, 3-on-3. They'd have offense, 3 girls on one side of the court, and defense, 3 girls on the other, and nobody crossed half court lines. That's how ancient those particular rules were for the ladies.
Well, I love the idea they say you don't want to get too sweated up because you got to put yourself in Massachusetts in 1891. You got all sweaty. Go roll in the snow. You got to draw the whole bath water. They didn't have indoor plumbing and that sort of thing in 1891, or not much. Yeah, you kept yourself dainty and clean. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to sweat too much.
Well, they probably did that so they could go to the Cheers bar afterwards and hoist a pint.
Where everybody knows your name. Hey, we got to go to break. We'll talk some more about James Naismith, the guy who invented basketball. Literally, he was told to go invent something, and this is what he came up with. 13 original rules. It's crazy now. His birthday comes up tomorrow. He's James Naismith, and you can read about him in AmeriCANS, Who Made America, 19th Century Growth, Division, and Reunification. It's Battle's book. It's fantastic. Page 157. More after this.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
Think about it. Now that school's back in session, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We've got a Mr. Battle in talking about Naismith, James Naismith, who invented basketball. What you talk about, he promoted it, it caught on so quick. I'm looking at the numbers here. So he invented it in 1891, and by 1904, 14 years later, the United States, the Olympic Committee was looking at it and showcasing it at the Olympics. This thing caught on globally in 14 years. That's amazing.
Well, yes. And he spent a lot of the remainder of his life, in addition to coaching, promoting basketball, because they realized how it could positively impact people's lives. And that's something they didn't really estimate when he started inventing this for an exercise. And the life skills that can be learned in basketball, as in other sports as well, are phenomenal. And we know that, especially a lot of us males, don't prefer learning in a classroom versus learning out playing a sport. And sometimes we learn accidentally, but we still learn. And that was what was so phenomenal about what they realized early they invented, if you will.
Well, none of your guys you ever wrote about didn't have a bunch of great sayings behind their name in your books. What are some of the famous sayings that Naismith came up with?
Well, I think one of the ones, and I'm going to read to make sure I get it right, is in basketball, as in life, it is not always the team with the most talent that wins, but the team that works together the best. And that is so true, whether it be a family, a business, the Boy Scouts, a Little League, whatever it is. That is so true. Teamwork is so important. And of course, we don't notice it as much in today's basketball when people are running up and down the floor, but those guys really do have teamwork working for them because they know each other so well, and they're able to execute that teamwork at speeds that we can't follow sometimes.
When you were reading that, okay, it's all right. So Naismith invents the game. He comes up with that quote. And in reality, on TV this weekend, when you watch the post-game interviews, they're saying the same exact things, just put my team in it. Well, in a game like life, it's us playing together as a team and how we won this thing. They still use his stuff, just mix it up. You know what I'm saying? That I heard the kids talk. That was J.J. McCarthy after our Vikings football game this weekend. Well, it's not an individual, it's the team.
Another terrific basketball coach who I haven't included, but who I love, is John Wooden, who coached UCLA to 13 national championships, 11 in a row and stuff. But he was much more than a basketball coach also. He realized, as so many coaches in all sports do, their opportunity to teach life skills that are so important and benefit us for the rest of our lives, and can mentor young people as well, and how they come up in life and handle adversity in something like a game, so that when real life adversity shows up, people can handle it better also.
What do you think James Naismith would think about his game now? I mean, you had 13 rules. There's a rule book. You got 4 different referees managing the game because they're playing so fast and all this stuff's going on. But when I say that, I think he would enjoy it. I mean, it just developed into this. Look at these athletes now being able to jump 10 foot in the air and slam dunk basketball. I think he would say that his sport did what it was supposed to do. But could you imagine him in 1891 thinking somebody's going to play this thing I made up and make $100 million a year? It would be fathomable.
He could envision the money, but I think he would be gratified that so many millions of people not only enjoy watching the game, but more so playing the game, and those lessons that he wanted taught. And he knew people were learning. So many millions of people experiencing that. I think he'd be very gratified at his part in initiating it.
And a game that transcends age, and I know you play softball at an advanced age. We call it noon ball here. A bunch of old guys go out and play. You can still play. I presume at the YMCA in 1891, the women weren't allowed to play. And now you look at this, it's both sexes from elementary school on, professional women's basketball. He's got it just has, well, if he knew about it, he would just have to be smiling ear to ear.
Well, yeah, because even if you can't run or you can't jump and dunk, you can shoot a game of hoops with somebody and just keep score. You can play a game of horse that we used to play all the time, which is very simple and doesn't require too much athleticism. And so there's so many different things you can do with it. Half-court games. You can play 3-on-3. You don't have to be 5-on-5. So there's a lot of varieties you can do and still enjoy the sport and the camaraderie that you have in a basketball game.
Didn't he say the invention of basketball is not an accident? It was developed to meet a need. And I think that's when the best things happen. Somebody at YMCA, we need something, figure it out, and look what happens. I mean, just 100 years later, but that's just amazing.
That was the cue for the AmeriCAN spirit, because the AmeriCAN spirit fills a need or pursues the dreams to success, and that's what he did.
Yeah, and you can get that guy's version, page 157. AmeriCANS Who Made America, 19th Century, Growth, Division, Reunification. How many in this, 40? Is that your thing, 40 in every book?
Well, there's 40 in every book, but I'll give you a little tidbit for the 20th century volume. There'll be 43 because there's 3 chapters that have 2 people each.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, the expanded version coming up. But so get this, and these are those kind of stories you get. You get a lot of the famous people we knew. You probably, I wouldn't say that. I guess if you asked a question on a game show, who invented basketball, 20% might be able to remember Naismith. They remember it being, with the peach baskets. But the entire story about him, his life, the stuff we've talked about is in this book. Same with 39 others. Very excited, though, to see the last book that will come out, Those That Hit the Floor. I want to see the editor. Who was number 41 in this book? That's what I want to know. Because these guys are great, Mr. Bell. I absolutely love your book. How do I pick it up, by the way?
Well, all 12 books, including this one, are at richardbattle.com, signed. If you'd like them inscribed for holiday gifts, which we're in holiday season now, email me, richard@richardbattle.com, after you order. We're happy to do that. It makes excellent gifts for kids and grandkids. Middle school and up can read and grow into it. At Amazon, all 12 books are available. You can look under Richard V. Battle, and 11 are in Kindle and 8 are in audio version if you prefer those.
Those who aren't signed, though, right? The Kindle and audio.
But if someone would email me later, I'm happy to send them a signed book plate.
I love that. I appreciate you, Mr. Battle. You know I do. I want people to get those books. He is talking about the holiday season. This is a great set of books to get for families. I've got 3 boys. I want all of their families to have a set of these books in their home libraries, so that when they have the grandkids, they can start reading them. This is a great book. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
God bless
Mr.
America.
Battle. God bless America.
If it's your turn to host a game,